I really want to encourage you to save, and if possible, save for a down payment, if possible, on a simple house, if you can do it. The way that most people are doing it in our society around us, you know, you go to high school where you don't work much, and if you do work, you work a little part-time job on the side and you have spending money. This is the American way. You know, you work at a fast food restaurant and you have enough money to pay for the car insurance so that you can have a car in order to work at the fast food restaurant. It's like this cycle that doesn't really get you much anywhere, all right? If you have the opportunity before you're married to save enough cash for even a simple, like just pray and ask God for help and try to save for a down payment on a house. Here's the benefit of it. What most people are doing is they're working through their 20s paying rent. And then when they're in their 30s, they buy their first home. Most of them will live in there for 6 years. And then they'll buy their second home. And they'll live in it for 6 years, and they'll buy their third home. And then for about half the life of that loan, they're paying mostly interest. So they spend the first 10 years paying nothing but rent. They've got nothing to show for it. Then for the first 12 years, if you're paying interest, if you're paying almost all interest on a mortgage, and you're making repairments to the house and everything, for the first 12 years, you're paying, let's say for the first 18 years of owning a home after 30, so now you're up to 48 years old, you're paying almost totally interest. So if you buy, let's figure you buy your first house when you're 30, the American way today, and then then you buy your third house, your final house, 12 years later, right? That's six. Well, 12 years later, you buy your third and your final home. So you're 42, and then you spend the next 30 years paying off that home. You're 72 years old, and you finally have your house debt-free. What I'm trying to give you a vision to do, what I try to encourage you to do if you can, I'm not wanting to put a yoke of bondage on you, but if you will work really hard, you save your money. Girls, you can be saving your money. Hopefully, your future spouse is saving your money, but what you don't want to do is get in a huge amount of debt unless it's absolutely necessary to do what God calls you to do. Maybe God's calling you to be a midwife or a nurse, and it's necessary to go get some student debt. You pray about it. That's the way God takes you. You have liberty to do that. But I'm just trying to set out another thing for you. If, young ladies, you're bringing money to the marriage, and young men, you're saving money, if you can buy even a simple starter home and skip one of your 3 houses, if you can skip house number 2 and get a starter home and go directly from your starter home to your third home, or if you can skip house number 1 and go directly to house number 2, you're saving off like 20-something years of effectively working for the banks, where you have just enough money to pay your rent or pay your mortgage and a little bit of money to save for a down payment because you got babies, or what a lot of people do is they're like, well, we can't afford another child because why? Because we owe so much. See what I mean? I'm just trying to give you a vision for it. I'm not trying to put anybody in bondage. I'm just saying for those young enough among us to do this, some of you are single, don't blow your money. Live very frugally. Don't be stupid with it. And you will have, you're going to be better suited to survive on a single income, so you don't have to send your kids to Caesar to be educated and eat beans and rice until you're 72. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Live as freemen. And if you have young children, maybe you're living in debt bondage, okay? It's the way it is. Okay, we gotta work with it. Jesus said if you're called being a slave, be content being a slave, but if you have opportunity to be free, be free. That's in 1 Corinthians 7. So if you are where you are, that's where you are. Okay, I get it. It's all right. But maybe your children, if you have a vision for your children, then you can say, hey, son, daughter, live under my roof if possible for the next 5 years rent-free and save $20,000, $30,000 a year and have a sum of money to put down, be frugal, learn extra skills, flip things on the side. Why am I saying this? So that you can be free people. It's an opportunity for those of you who want to do it because, we don't have slavery. Yeah, right. We have multiple forms of slavery. The college education system is designed to make you the slaves of the state, to have 2 incomes, both putting your kids in what? Government schools, because you can't afford private education, and you can't afford to homeschool because it's all rigged to make you have a 2-income family so that Nebuchadnezzar can train your children to be good humanists, right? And that's why this is important. That's why I talk about it so much in private with so many of you. If you can get a vision for it, buy a simple house, buy a dump if necessary, put your elbow grease into it, and with God's grace, you can turn it into something, right? And be free. My goal isn't, I'm not telling you how to drive a super fancy car. Although, I tell you what, you do what I say, and that's doable too. You get off to a good start. My main concern is I want you to be free to be able to raise up your children in the discipline and admonition of the Lord. And I'm not saying you can't do it the other way. It's just harder. And if the reason you're not able to do it is because you're just passion-driven, your God is your belly, and you just have to spend every dollar you make because of your stupid hobby, well then, then it actually is a sin issue. You're not a victim of circumstance. You're just